Welcome to Here's What I Learned, a podcast that pulls back the curtain on running a coaching business. I'm Jackie Hayes, your host and certified online business manager. I partner with coaches ready to transition from one-on-one coaching to group coaching programs. In my work, I see the day-to-day struggles and celebrations, missteps and triumphs that routinely happen in a coaching business. And on this podcast, my guests and I shine a light on it all. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy. Are you curious how you can create a strategic and hustle-free launch for your group coaching program? A launch that doesn't feel hard and sets a foundation for future success? In today's episode, I'm sharing my 4-step launch process for a strategic, intentional, and fun launch. Before I jump into my 4-step launch process, let's be sure we're all on the same page. A launch is more than ramping up the emails you send and the social media you post. A launch is a planned and coordinated effort to bring a product or service to market. The launch of your group program begins the moment you start dreaming of it. Because to me, dreaming and visioning are part of the planning process. When I work with my clients in creating a strategic launch plan, I envision us creating a roadmap from where they are now to where they want to go. The strategy is in finding the most effective path forward, the one with the least obstacles, the one with the best scenery and pit stops. Because, let's face it, every launch needs a wall drugs with ice-cold water. I break that path forward down into 4 steps: analyze, align, ally, and action. If you're creating a roadmap forward, you need to know where you've been and where you are. That's the analyze phase of the process. In this phase, look at what has worked in the past and what hasn't. Look into your social media posts to see what really clicked with your audience. How have your fans and ideal clients found you in the past, and how have they engaged with you? If they're all coming from Facebook, then we know where to focus our efforts. Dig into your current systems and processes. How do you onboard your clients now? Will that process work when you need to onboard groups of people instead of individuals? How do you track the tasks that need to be done, and will that work when you need to bring on a team? Last, examine the tools and tech you are currently using. Will you need to add anything to your stack when you have your group program going? Once you've completed the analyze portion of your roadmap, you can move on to align. Here you'll get really clear on your core values and operating guidelines. Every coach has their own personal set of core values that are informed by their life experiences. Core values are your highest priorities, deeply held beliefs, and fundamental driving forces. Because you and your business are one and the same, these same values apply to your business. Our core values are not what we think we should believe in. Trying to implement values that do not come from within leads to a lack of clarity and oftentimes conflicting messages. Consider how your core values will inform how you launch your group program. For example, if you have a core value of fun, how will we be sure that every step of the launch process is fun for you and your audience? If you have a core value of trust, how can you honor that value in the client onboarding process? Operating guidelines are how you put your values into practice and get things done. These guidelines help you and your team make decisions, especially when you feel stuck between that rock and a hard place. They can also help empower your team to make decisions on behalf of the company. If you value accessibility and your guidelines state to strive for accessibility, then your social media manager knows to include an image description on Instagram posts without even having to ask you. With business operating guidelines, you're building a business that responds rather than reacts. You're also creating a culture that focuses on long-term legacy and sustainability of your business. Your core values and your operating guidelines are the foundation on which you'll build your launch. When you show up as an ally to your super clients in the 3rd step of the process, you honor them as individuals with autonomy. First, it's important to get really, and did I say really, clear about who your super client is. As much as we would all like to market our programs to all the people, the reality is your message will have a greater impact if you're reaching out to one person with each email, Instagram post, and podcast episode. I do like to work with 3 super client personas, but when I write a caption for Instagram, I'm only talking to one of them at a time. Get clear on who that person is, more than their age and relationship status. I want their life story. Where do they shop? How do they spend their Friday nights? If they could be an animal, what animal would they be? Most importantly, why are they seeking out your support? And what are they hoping they'll achieve with your help? Once you know who you're allying with, you instantly know how to talk with them, how to support them, and how to reach them. You'll also know what will immediately turn them off. And you'll know the most effective and pleasurable way to onboard them into your group. The last step in the process is the action step. Start with your timeline. When do you want to have your first coaching call? And work backwards from there. Fill in every step of the process. And I mean every step of the process. Cart open and close dates, live Q&A calls, when you'll start promoting on your channels, and how often. As you build out your timeline, be sure to include life events like birthdays, anniversaries, last days of school, moves, etc. Next, where in your launch will you rest? Yes, rest. I highly recommend taking at least 2 rest days that are not weekends during your launch. Launches can be overwhelming. And if we don't schedule in time for rest, by the time you get to your first coaching call, you're going to be exhausted. So be sure to schedule in rest. Then step back and pretend this timeline belonged to somebody you loved and cared about. Would you worry about them overextending themselves? Be honest. If the answer is yes, what can you adjust? Can you push back the start date? Do you really need to send that many emails? Once you have a sustainable timeline that will not lead to hustle, determine what tools, tech, and resources, and the support you'll need on hand to implement your plan and your group coaching program. And there you have it, the 4-step process to launch your group program. Analyze, align, ally, and action. Each step is one portion of the roadmap that will get you from your dream to reality. This is the very process I take my Launch Strategy VIP Day clients through. At the end of those days, they have a custom launch blueprint they can use as the foundation for every launch now and into the future. If you'd like support on implementing this 4-step process, head on over to my site at jackiehayes.me to learn how you can apply for your own Launch Strategy VIP Day. Thanks for listening to this episode of Here's What I Learned. Be sure you subscribe and leave a review. You can find the show notes at jackiehayes.online/podcast. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to my email list and get access to my free resource library. Until next time,